Okay, so I'm going to start from the very beginning with starting Premiere Pro, launching the application. So this is the icon for Premiere Pro. It's the little uh, pinkish purple PR. When we launch Premiere Pro, again, typically if we've been working on a project, it is located here in our recent projects list, and you can just click that and it would open right back up. If it's not listed there, you could click on Open Project and then navigate to wherever it's located. Or if you're starting a new project, you would click New Project, and then you're going to be asked several questions here with different dialog boxes. Most importantly, choosing the location of where you're going to save your project is extremely important. If you click Browse, then you can navigate to your folder location. I'm going to navigate to mine. And I have a specific folder for my Premiere Pro projects, so I'm going to select that folder, and now every project I create is going to be saved in that folder. Next, we name our project. We use the same naming conventions that we've used in Photoshop. Last name, underscore first name, underscore whatever the name of the project is. For this, I'm just going to put review. And then what we're doing different in Premiere Pro, we're saving versions. So I'll put a V01, and every time I open this back up or make major changes to it, I'm going to start a new version or save a new version. That way, if something happens to that project file, I can always go back to it. So once we have this done, we will click OK. Then we'll ask, what type of sequence do we want to create? Well, we don't want to create one just yet, because there's an easier way to do this without having to know all of these different settings and which one to choose, or even plugging in all these specific custom settings. So here we just click cancel, and Premiere Pro will launch. Again, this is the basic interface. We have our source bin. This is where we preview our clips. We have our program monitor. This is where we watch the clips that we've edited. Down here is our timeline. This is where we actually assemble and arrange the clips in the order we want them to be. And then down here in our project bin, this is where all our media is stored. Whether you're going to import audio files, pictures, video clips, this is where it's all stored. And that's where I'm going to bring in video clips right now. There are multiple ways to import things. You could right click and go to import, or you could double click it just in the empty gray space in your bin. That's typically what I do. So I just double click and it opens up the import window, and it's already to the folder that contains a bunch of clips I want to use. So I'm just going to use those, but if I needed to navigate somewhere else, I could do that pretty easily by going there. So I'm going to click the first one, and to select the last, all of them, I'm just going to hold shift down and click the last one, and it selects that entire range, and I'll click open. Now it's going to take a few seconds to import all this media. Okay, so a minute later, all our clips are in here. You can see them in thumbnail view, and all our clips live here. If I double click a clip, it takes it up into my source menu, or window rather, my source window, And here I can preview this clip, and I can watch it. I can check out everything about this clip. One of the first things you do when creating a timeline, this is what you need to do to be able to start editing. The first clip you choose to use, you will select it and drag it down to the new item icon. And when you do that, that creates a new sequence that matches your video settings. It's a lot easier than having to go in and try to pick out what video settings your clips are and then plug that stuff in to try to get it to match. It's a lot easier. So, but before I do that, I'm going to talk about in and out points. So I have my clip here, and I just want to select a specific portion of this clip to edit into my timeline. Alright, so I'm going to probably set my endpoint right here, and I can hit the letter I to set an endpoint. This is where I want my clip to start. So I hit the letter I, it puts a little marker right there that lets me know that's where my clip will now start when I drag it into my timeline. I can move the playhead marker, or I can click the play to let it go through. And I want it to cut right about here because I've seen these clips before. So I'm going to hit O for an out point, and that puts another little marker there to let me know that's where my clip's going to end. Now for the first clip only, I'm just going to click on it and then drag it down to the new item icon, which is the little square with the bent edge on it in between the folder and the trash can. So I'm just going to drop it right on that, and it creates a timeline that matches my video settings, which is extremely important. This guy right here, this is my zoom bar. If I drag the end one way or the other, it zooms in or zooms out on my clip. It's not actually extending it or making it longer. The length stays the same. It's just zooming in on it so I can see it a little better. Alright, so here's my clip. The guy's applying the stuff to buff the cars on there, the wax, I guess. And I have a close-up shot of him doing the same thing. Okay? And this is what's called match cutting. I want to match the movement or the motions from one shot to the other. All right, so this is a wide shot, but I want the action to stay the same. And even though it's not the same action, when I cut it together by match cutting, it will look as if it is. Okay, so right about here, that looks about the same. So I will set an endpoint on this clip, move forward, and set my out point. And now I'm just going to click on this clip and drag it right into my timeline. So now when this clip goes to the next shot, or this timeline goes to the next shot, his hand is in a relatively similar position. Okay, and when we play it through, it looks pretty seamless. That's what's called match cutting. It's extremely important. And we'll do one more example. Here's a wide shot of him actually buffing out this fender. So I'm going to set my endpoint. Alright, set my out point. Remember, letter I. I'll set my endpoint, then I'll move down, letter O. I'll set my out point. I just drag my clip into place. I have my zoom bar here. So here's my clip. And then again, I have a close-up shot of him working on these cars. And I will set my endpoint again with the letter I and set my out point and then drag my clip into place. So when we play this through, looks like a pretty similar action there. And that's match cutting at its most simplest form. You're matching the actions so that it looks seamless from cut to cut. Alright. Next thing we talked about a little bit was transitions. Okay, transitions lived under the effects tab. So if we come over to the effects tab, we have our video transitions. We have all different types of transitions in here. They all do different things. The most common transition, other than just a straight cut, like what we have here, that's a straight cut, it just goes from one shot to the other, is a cross dissolve. That's a pretty popular transition. To use a transition, you just click on the icon and drag it onto the clips. So now when I play this back, it's going to fade in from one to the other. Alright, that's a pretty popular transition there. Alright, they have other transitions that do all types of crazy things. Let's drop stretch in over here and see what it does. Okay, that's an interesting transition. But we have all different types of transitions. Page peels. These aren't commonly used a whole lot. They can be used for a specific intent or purpose, but commonly you don't find them used a whole lot. You see cross dissolves and straight cuts. Okay, but it's good to know they're there. You may want to use them for a specific reason. And this is peel back. All right, so interesting stuff there. Like I said, again, most common transitions are going to be straight cuts and dissolves, but they're there. Be aware of them. All right, and then we could also even cross dissolve into nothing or fade to black. They call it dip to black, and it just fades out. There you go. Now we also have transitions for audio. Okay, if I throw an audio transition on there, what it does, it's like a cross dissolve for your audio. It just blends it in, it fades it out. Or could even fade in. I'll do that there. I'll put another cross dissolve at the beginning of my clip, just for all visual purposes. So it fades in, the audio fades in with it. Alright, and we have some real basic transitions and audio transitions and edits there, match cutting, and all that good stuff. After transitions, we covered effects, which is found under the same tab, just under a different drop-down, video effects. Some of them are really simple, like the black and white. You just click on it and drag and drop it on your clip. It desaturates your image, takes the color out, and it's black and white. There's not a whole lot I can do to that. If I double click the clip I just threw the effect on, and I come over here to effects controls, when I double click on it, it brings it up in my source menu, and then if I click on effects controls, you can see my effect here. And if this black and white effect had anything I could change about it, this is where it would be listed. Alright, but let's look at a few different few different effects here. Let's go to stylize. Those are pretty easy to change. We can use the posterize effect. Just again, click and drag and drop it, and you can see already it made a visual change to our image. If I double click my clip and come over to effects controls, my posterize effect is here, and it does have some options, and I can turn up or turn down. Okay, so that's a real heavy stylized effect, and this is where I would make all my changes. Depending on the effect, there are going to be multiple things you can do. Let's go to blur and sharpen. Okay, a Gaussian blur, you may want to blur out a clip, or you may just want to blur out a portion of a clip. But if again I click and drag this onto my clip, right away it doesn't really do anything. Okay, but if I come, double click my clip, make sure it's in my source window, and I click on effects controls, I have my Gaussian blur and all the different parameters here, and I can turn that blurriness up, and you can see it affects my image accordingly. Alright, Now, one thing about a lot of the effects is that you can keyframe them. Well, what does that mean? Well, I can set different levels of blurriness throughout the duration of this clip. So maybe I don't want it to start out blurry. Maybe I want it to go blurry in the middle of the clip. And keyframing is the way I do that. So let's set this back to 0. My entire clip has been set to 0 for blurriness. And this toggle animation icon looks like a little stopwatch. I'm going to go ahead and click it, and that activates keyframing. And what you see here is the actual keyframe, this little diamond shape right here. That is the keyframe. And that signals to me that at 9 seconds and 5 frames, the level of blurriness is going to be 0. Okay? And any point leading up to that is going to be 0. If I move down in time, you can see it matches my timeline marker here and here. They match. And I adjust my blurriness, it's going to set a keyframe for me. So now at 10 seconds and 25 frames, my blurriness is going to be set to 50%. And it will go from point A to point B. It will go from 0 to 50 over this amount of time. Okay? And you can see that visually over here in the clip. So when I play it back, it's going to fade from blurry to not blurry. Okay? And that's keyframing. I'm going to go over it one more time with this clip. Let's use something crazy. We will use... There we go. We can use the twirl effect. Okay, so if I click on this and I drag and drop it, right away it doesn't really do anything. But if I double click my clip to make sure that's the right clip up here, and go to Effects Controls, I have all these different options for twirl. So I can turn up the percentage on my angle. Alright, so that's pretty heavy. I can do the radius of it. I can make all types of different options here. And maybe I want this to come in real quick and then go back out. So I can keyframe it. So I'm going to reset my effect by clicking the little reset arrow here. So it's all back to normal. And I'm going to set a keyframe right here. So this tells me at 13 seconds and 22 frames, this keyframe is set to 0 for my angle. If I go down in time and I go and adjust that angle, there we go, make it real crazy, and then I come adjust it again, and I could even plug in numbers there. It goes back. So now when I play this back, it's going to twirl real fast and then go back out again. Okay, that's keyframing in its most simplest form. Now, while I've got this going right here, I'm going to hit Control-S to save my work, because it's been a while since I've saved anything. The keyboard shortcut, Control-S, allows me to save things real quick. Get in the habit of doing that. Before I start talking about exporting, we covered text. And I'm going to add some text in real quick. If I come to my new item icon and click on it, I have all these different options of creating new objects or media clips. I'm going to use title. So my title tool will allow me to add text. And I think the first effect I used was black and white. So I'm going to name this, just to make things quick, I'm going to name it BW for black and white. Okay. So it pops up, even though this isn't the clip, it's over. I can actually shrink this up. And I can still move my timeline marker over here. So this is the clip I want to place it over. Not that that matters at the moment, but I'm just going to create a little text box here. Okay, move that into view there. I have all my different tools. I have my text box tool, and I'm just going to type in here black and white. And I can choose all my different fonts. It works a lot like Photoshop. I even have presets down here that I can use. So I'm just going to click on a preset. Okay, that looks good. And I'm probably going to increase the size of it. And if I get on my move tool, I can just position that wherever I want. And then to save this or to use it, I'm just going to close it out. And it puts this title down in my bin. And again, I can just click and drag that straight into my timeline. So that's only set to 1 frame. So if I hover over the clip, I get this red arrow. I'm just going to drag out the end here. There we go. So here I have my black and white. Okay, so I probably want to put dissolves on these two when I get them all said and done, or I could just have them cut before the dissolve. We'll see what we do. My next was to posterize the clip, so I'll add more text. Go to new item icon, title. I'll name this posterize. Oh. Gotta name this posterize. And again, activate my text box. Type my text in there. There's my text. I'm going to throw this preset on it. I think I spelled that right. If not, I'm not too concerned about it. And I can move that into position here, or I can move it into position later. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to just close this here, and I'm going to click and drag it into place. There we go. Stretch it out. Now let's say I want to reposition this after the fact. I can double click this and open up my title tool again and reposition it if I wanted to. Or just like any other clip, if I click on it and make sure I'm going over to effects controls, I can click on my motion and I can move it around within my frame here. Okay. And just one more time, I will go to title and just name this GB for Gaussian blur. And I will create my text tool. And I might just come over here to change the color. Just make it bright green. I'm going to change my font. Choose something normal. And even the size of my font. Or I could change the leading of it if I wanted. All types of different options here. Okay, I'll just close it out and then drag that into place. And then stretch it out to fit my clip. Okay, and real quick, I'm just going to add some transitions on there just so they match. So here we go. Okay, so I could add another title in there for twirl, but I think seeing it 3 times is enough. So now I'm ready to export this. So in order to do that, I need to make sure I have my timeline active. And the way I do that is by clicking on it and making sure this little orange yellowish band is around it. Okay, if something else is selected, I might export the wrong thing, or it might not just allow me to export. The shortcut to the export is Control-M, but you can also go to File, Export Media, click there, and our export settings window pops up. And this is extremely important because these are the export settings we're going to use all year long. Our format will change to H.264, okay? And H.264 compression allows us to get very small files but still retain a high quality. When I go to preset, I will open up preset and I'm going to go all the way down to YouTube 1080p, YouTube HD 1080p 29.97. That is our preset, okay? What that does, it formats our video to 1920 by 1080 at 29.97 frames per second. That's pretty standard. That's what we'll use in this class. It's what will work best for us. I know that I have my video settings correct because it says so right here. 1920 by 1080, 29.97 frames per second, FPS, and it's progressive, okay? One thing I need to change first, though, before I export anything, I need to make sure my output name is correct. So if I click on this orange yellowish text, it will launch my browser window. And again, I'm going to navigate to my folder. All right. And I'm going to save this in my videos folder. And I'm going to name this, like we name everything, last name underscore first name. I'm going to name this the name of the project, preview, and then version 01. Okay, so last name underscore first name underscore name of the project, and this is the version 1. This is version 1. This is the first time I've exported it, and I'll click save. Now this hasn't actually saved my video yet. All this does is designated what it's going to be named and where it's going to be located when it finally does save. I want to make sure I'm exporting audio and video, so I make sure those boxes are checked. It gives me an estimated file size down here, 15 megabytes. That's pretty small. And now that everything is set up, I can go ahead and click export, and it will render out. It will take a few seconds, but it'll be just fine. Alright, so it finished encoding. It is now located, this video clip is now located in my folder. Go ahead and launch Bridge here. Alright, so if I go to, oh no. Alright, so Bridge is back. If I navigate to my folder through Bridge, you will see in my video folder, the file was exported. Here it is. Hobbit underscore Casey underscore preview underscore version 1. And you can preview it right here in Bridge. There's my clip. Okay, and I can copy this clip. I can move it into the folder. I can do whatever I need to do. One way we're going to be turning in a lot of our work is on YouTube. Okay, so let me log into YouTube. Which means I need to log out. This one. Alright, so if I just go into my Google account, if I remember the password. Okay, there we go. And I go to YouTube. I come to YouTube and I just click on upload. It'll take me to the upload page, and I can start to upload my image or my video. But before I do, I want to make sure that it's classified correctly. It can either be classified as public, which is where everybody can find your video. It shows up in search results, whatever metadata you put on it, it can be found. Private means only you can watch it, no one else but you. And unlisted means you have to have the link for it. All right, if you don't have a direct link for it, you're not going to be able to find it. It won't show up in search results. Public or unlisted is how you need to classify your video to be able to share it with me so that I can watch it. If you don't do it that way, if you list it as private, I'm not going to be able to see it, and that is a problem. So it's up to you. You can choose public or you can choose unlisted. It's your call. I'm going to choose unlisted for this clip, and then I'm just going to click on this icon, and again, I'll navigate to my folder and find the video I want to upload. Here it is. Click open, and it's going to start to upload. Here it goes. Now it comes in with the name of the file, and I'm just going to leave that there. In the description, I want you to put your name on it, just like you would on the top of a test. And I want you to tell me what period you are in as well. All right, so this is period 01. All right, once it's finished processing, you'll be able to share it. And you can upload this stuff as much as you want, and it may take a second to process. All right, here we go. We can pick our thumbnail now that those have been set up. So I picked my thumbnail. Actually, I kind of like the one that's up there. I like that one. And I'll just click Save Changes. Okay, and now before I get out of here, I can send it as an email, and this is what you will do. You just click on email, and you'll plug in my email address, which is on the board, but it's cctckchobic. And again, in the optional message, I want you to put your name and period. Okay, and then just click Send Email. All right, email sent successfully. If I go to my email account, it's going to make me log in here too. I should have an email here from myself. Casey Hobick sent you a video. There it is. And I can come down, I can click this link, and it will take me directly to my clip. Okay, that's how we'll be turning in a lot of our work. That is how we do all of the things we've been talking about all week. We covered launching Premiere Pro, making basic edits, match cutting, transitions, effects, keyframing, exporting, and uploading to YouTube. We covered a lot this week. It's a lot to take in, and this was just a review for that.